How's it going, everyone? Sethphir here, and welcome back to another Tower of Fantasy video. This is going to be my guide on Wormhole, which has just come out, and you may want a little bit of help and tips and tricks. Don't worry, I have you covered. This guide is going to be good for everyone, free-to-play, Dolphin Whales players included, because on the CBT, the closed beta test, I'd cleared all this as a free-to-play player, so I know exactly what the struggle is. So let's go ahead and dive into Wormhole. First, we'll start with, what is Wormhole? Wormhole is a challenge mode for a single player with a small ladder for you to climb. It will give you a lot of rewards, including energy dust and the ability to get some free boxes from the shop at the end, so make sure to check those out. There are also some 450 dark crystal boxes, which you could consider getting if you're a Dolphin player or above. Free to play, you might want to save your crystals, but it's up to you. There are some good advanced modules in there that can increase your gear, so that can just be kind of something for you to decide. So the first thing we need to know about Wormhole is just generally how it works. You're going to get presented into a ladder climbing stage sort of situation. There's going to be 8 levels total, and you're going to start at level 1. Every time you transition a stage, you are going to start with the same HP that you had from the previous stage. So items and abilities that give you HP recovery will go a long way here, but do keep in mind that all healing is reduced by 80%. There are some tricks that get around this, and I will show you exactly what those are when I go into my personal footage of my run for the highest difficulty for Wormhole, and I'm going to show you how to do all of those good things. So when you get in here, you're going to be tasked with a progress meter in the top left, which is going to want you to kill a certain amount of monsters to progress to the next floor. The big guys are worth 25%, and the small ones are worth about 1 to 3% depending on what kind of monster it is. So you can farm up the little guys. It does take a long time, but generally going for the big guys is the best strategy. After that, the main mechanic of the Wormhole is the Blessing Rune system. Every time you kill a big enemy or find a hidden Blessing Rune that appears like this little pyramid, neon little triangle thing, then you will be able to select a power. You can see the full list of powers on the main screen, which we'll show you in a bit, so you can decide which one is best for you, but the general rule of thumb is that anything with attack and crit is generally going to be better for your character. This is about doing damage and clearing the instance in time, so make sure that you take note of that. There are a few specialty HP items that can be incredibly useful depending on how you use them, so I'll tell you about those as well. So once you have that kind of down, you can explore. There is a time limit, so you want to catch as many of these blessing runes as you can and clear up those big guys because they drop blessing runes also, and fill your meter up to progress 100% to advance to the next stage. There is a boss at stage 4 and a boss at stage 8, as well as 3 different difficulty modes. The first mode is normal, the next one is hard, and the next one is challenge. Each has 8 floors, so you're going to get 24 in total. After that, the only other mechanic is really this Regeneration Orb, which tends to appear from monsters when you kill them, big or small, so you can pick it up for a nice chunk of HP regeneration. So with all of that out of the way, we kind of have the basics here. Do keep in mind that this does reset every 5 days, and it will be resetting really soon, within a day and 13 hours of this coming out here, so make sure to be on top of that, because you will get weekly rewards in addition to the energy dust that you get for clearing the encounter. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and dive into my run, and I'm going to show you my tips, my tricks, and my secrets on how to clear this, even as free-to-play, Dolphin, Whale, whatever, it doesn't matter. You shall be able to succeed. Let's go ahead and dive in there. Alright, here we are at the Wormhole itself. As you can see, we're going to dive in here, and this is the highest difficulty challenge mode. So if we could beat it on this, we could beat it on anything. So the main thing to note is that there are a weakness for the level. It's going to be fire and ice here, so having one of those weapons is going to go a long way. And I would tend to focus my attacks on using that elemental type of weapon because everything else will be reduced in terms of resistance. So you'll be doing 50% more for using those weapons and 50% less for using the other weapons. When we get in, the general idea and philosophy here is to find as many hidden secret ones that we can get, like that one right there. And then we are going to also target the big boss monsters to fill up the meter on the top left. There is a timer here, so keep that in mind. You can pick up the little clocks to give you 30 more seconds. So if you want to explore, if you're free to play or you don't really have that great of characters, that's okay. You can make up for it by finding more power-ups inside of the instance. When you collect a power-up, it will give you 1 stack of it. if you get 4 stacks of a power-up, it will trigger a bonus effect that is very, very powerful. You can read what each one does in the bottom left, targeting the Blessing Rune button at the start of the Wormhole, so you can go ahead and check all those and see the full details for the 4-piece and 8-piece set bonuses, but I'll give you the lowdown and tell you what's generally good. So, in general, most attack and crit damage icons are going to be the best for you, especially if you can get them to 4 and 8 pieces each. That is going to be very powerful. There are some good HP ones, like an HP Endurance, which will allow you to spin to win with Meryl, who is a very good character in here, and we'll talk about her in a second. And there's also another HP one that will allow you to recover HP whenever you enter a new level at 4 and 8 stacks, which can be very useful for free to play, and is exactly what I used on the closed beta test to clear everything and get as far as I did, because I didn't have a healer. I didn't have a way to heal up. I didn't have all these tricky characters that could allow me to do secrets, so I had to rely on the game mechanics itself. So picking that HP one that early that gives you the stacks of regenerating HP per level can definitely help you out if you're struggling. So once you've cleared a level, you're going to transition to the next level, and you're going to keep all of the buffs that you had from the previous one. So finding the most buffs is good, or you can move ahead and speed clear it depending on how powerful you think you are. So that's just going to be totally up to you. You can milk it to the last second if you want, but just make sure that you clear it before that timer runs out. As we dive into this next one, let's talk about some OP tips, tricks, and secrets. So, in my opinion, the best character to use in here is Meryl because of her star level 1 power. Whenever you shatter somebody's shield, you gain 10% HP, and there's tons of enemies with shields in here to shatter, so you're just going to be regenerating HP, and it seems to not follow the 80% heal reduction rule. So you're going to get away pretty much with getting yourself to full HP at all points in time. As you can see, that shattering it is just going to keep me completely healthy and topped off, and I don't have to worry about much of anything at all. So that's going to be the first OP trick. The second one is going to be King's Simulacrum trait for Awakening. If you can get his Simulacrum trait up, every 5 enemies you kill will restore like 7 to 10% HP, whatever that number is. And that is very powerful here as well, because it will allow you to just keep going without having to worry about getting hit or any sort of punishment. Nemesis is also very strong, so if you are a person who has been fortunate enough to get Nemesis, if you have at least the C1 version or the Star 1 version, then you will be able to constantly heal yourself whenever you dodge, which is very powerful in this. And yes, it's 80% reduced, but you're going to be filling your meter and bar up all the way to the top pretty much all the time, so you should be pretty healthy for the most part. That's going to be pretty much it for tips, tricks, and secrets. There are some instances where the enemies do fall off the edge. Sometimes their little pyramid blessing rune will appear at the bottom. You can jump off and slowly glide onto it with a jetpack, but sometimes the rune falls through the level, so just be aware of that. It's a little funky and some glitchiness there, but that's going to be okay for the most part. So now we're going to go ahead and dive in and skip ahead to some of the boss encounters and see how we deal with these. Alright, here we are at level 4, the first boss level, and as you can see on the bottom of my screen, I have a few buffs at 4 stacks, so you want to aim to get as many as 4 as possible, and if you could target one to get to 8, if it's a particular powerful one that you get offered, then you can go ahead and do so, and that will help you do a lot of damage to these bosses. You want to start off hard out the gate and make sure you get as much DPS as you possibly can, and make sure to take advantage of the mounting for the bosses. Like, I mistimed that window here, and I thought that I could get that ability off before I would jump on and start doing damage, but unfortunately I did not. If you do jump onto a boss, make sure you have the elemental weapon out that does extra damage, so like an ice weapon or fire weapon or whatever it is that week, because when you trigger that backstab on the mounted boss, you will deal elemental appropriate type damage. So these bosses can be quite annoying, especially this guy. He does a lot of damage and he can whittle you down. But if you want to take it a little bit slower, you can, to make sure that you're perfect dodging and getting away from a lot of his attacks. But if you know that you have the damage, you know that you have the healings, of course feel free to just go ham on this guy and absolutely destroy him. But the general concept is just going to be the same. All these boss encounters are relatively not too bad. Some of them can be tricky in the later versions. So we'll go ahead and skip forward to the 8th level boss now. Alright, here we are in the 8th and last level, and in my opinion this is probably one of the easier ones because at this point you might have several 8-stack buffs as well as 4-stack buffs, so you're going to be really powerful. As you can see, I'm hitting for like 50k, it's absolutely insane. And this is not a very strong Meryl sword that I have, it's a star level 2 Meryl sword, so that's easily obtainable by a lot of people. So it can hit incredibly hard, especially if you have the right element and the right stacks. But this guy is just absolutely going to get shredded. So if you're picking the right buffs, if you're getting 8 stacks on those crit buffs, you're getting 8 stacks on those attack power buffs, you are going to be quite fine, to be honest, because this damage that you're going to be doing is going to be insane at this point. So I hope that all of this stuff will kind of help you here, these tips and tricks. Let me know down below which ones tend to help you the most. I know a lot of these are somewhat obvious, but sometimes a little bit of guidance goes a long way. So make sure to reply down below and let me know what you thought of this. What do you think of the Wormhole? And we do have higher difficulties coming in the future. We have the level 50, 60, 70 version. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how all of that plays out. Thanks for watching once again, and if this was helpful to you in any way, shape, or form, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, and we will catch you in the next video.